What's up, Dragon Nation? I'm Rich with Dragon Nation Gaming. Welcome back to Space Engineers. Last episode, we got ourselves a miner up and running. That way, he grabbed some of the uranium for us to travel to the moon in this episode. So what I would like to do is not only get to the moon, but also start a facility for production. We're going to take this one step at a time so we can kind of see the progression of a base. But let's go ahead and get this started. Alright, so I have been doing a little bit of mining. Instead of just doing it the way I started, I went ahead and just started digging really big holes. But I haven't gotten a whole lot of uranium. I think I'm still producing a little bit. Yeah, still 10,000 in each one, it looks like. And I think I was able to get... looks like... Is it not? Are they not splitting? I got about 1,200 uranium that I'm taking with me. 1,200 should be enough for all the ships and the stations that we're going to be building until we can set up a facility to get a whole lot more uranium. A lot quicker. We do have a nice size... I really got lucky with this uranium node. This thing is huge. You won't really find anything this big. I really got fortunate with it. I got lucky. Well, what we want to do in this episode is we want to go ahead and move down the moon. We're going to leave the miner here. We're not going to be needing it for quite some time. We'll go ahead and get to the moon and build another one. But let's see if we can find the moon somewhere. There it is. Alright, so the first thing I want to look for is I want to try to find a nice flat surface to build ourselves a nice sized base. I already have a base design in mind. Oh, pressure dampers. I already have a decent sized base in mind, but we'll have to see. I have no idea how to start it or how to get it built. We'll have to figure that one out. Alright, so we got a little bit closer to the moon. It looks like... Yeah, we are on the light side. It took me a little while to get here because we are 47 kilometers away. It took me about an hour. But it looks like we're right over a nice little spot. Kind of flat. I think this will be a good spot to go ahead and land. Yeah, it looks like a nice big flat surface. I mean, there are a couple of pot marks, but that's alright. We could build over those. But we do need to get down to the surface safely. Alright, with these thrusters, I think we're good. At some point, I might actually test out, see if we could do this with vanilla thrusters. But I've wrecked so many of these ships trying to do that, I already know I can't do it. So let's go ahead and touchdown. Alright, so those are tier 2 thrusters, so they're 4 times the strength of vanilla thrusters. And it was simple, it was easy, didn't even hit anything. But what we need to do now is, well, what I would like to do is I would like to power down our ship. The best way to do that is to go ahead and plant it on the asteroid, or the moon. So what I would like to do is build ourselves a merge block on the moon and then another one on the respawn ship. So let's go ahead and build a merge block. That way I could turn the respawn ship into a station and we could power down the thrusters. We could even get rid of them. Actually, let's go ahead and hit B. So that way it will line up to the moon. Come on, man. Don't be mean. There you go. And now it won't let me turn. Aren't you a bitch? Because yeah, it won't... You know what? Okay, let's do it this way. Now I should be able to turn it. We'll just have to get rid of this one. There we go. Now all we need to do is weld up this merge block. Put one on our ship, which I'll probably put right back here. Let's go ahead and place that real quick, if I got room. And then we'll go ahead and get those welded up and get the merge blocks connected. Alright, now what we need to do is we need to get them connected. The easiest way to do this is get it to the point where the merge blocks will show up yellow. Try to get it lined up as best I can. So get it to where the merge blocks will turn yellow, and then all we have to do is turn off inertia dampeners, and they'll just pull. They're kind of like connectors that way. If we get them close enough, they will pull together, as you can see. So let's turn off inertia dampeners. Uh-oh. I think the game just crashed. Yep, the game definitely did not like that. Alright, there it goes. We're back. Alright, so now we are connected. Everything's good to go. We can go ahead and grind down the thrusters if we want to. We could just turn this into a regular base. I could go ahead and get rid of the roof. I could get rid of the walls, make the platform a little bit bigger. But what I want to do is I want to go ahead and start a new platform. So that way I can kind of show how to build certain things, or the best way to figure things out. So what I think I'm going to do is we're just going to come out from the merge block, start a new platform, so that way we can go over how to build a base from start to finish. Alright, so the first thing we need to do is we need to make sure that we have a starter platform that is going to be big enough for everything we're about to add. So what I like to do is I like to do, let's see, 6 by 4 I think will be good. So that's 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now later on we can go ahead and extend this if we need to, but this should be a pretty good start. Now, of course, it's not going to be... Oh, it's not going to be airtight at first, but at least we'll get all the production up and running. Alright, there we go. Now I need to go ahead and get all this welded up. Probably also need to get some steel plates producing as well. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. So production, let's go ahead and get a couple thousand. We're going to need it. And then what I think I'll do is I'll also go ahead and start breaking down the respawn ship. We're not really going to need it anymore. What we're going to need is to transfer everything over to this platform. So let's go ahead and start breaking everything down. I'll probably need a cargo container. Now we'll go... Let's make this slowly. Let's do this slowly. We'll do one step at a time. First thing, get the platform done. Alright, now that we have that done, what we need to do is figure out production. Now, in order to have a base that will sustain us, we're going to need a few things. We're going to need a refinery, of course. We're going to need an assembler, if I can find it. We're going to need a medical room, so that way we not only have a spawn point, but also a place to get power. We're going to need an O2 generator. Let's put it right there. All we need is a welder right now. And then we're going to need power for the station. But let's go ahead and get all this placed. Right now what I'm going to do is we're going to put down the refinery just anywhere for the moment. Later on we'll go ahead and change things up a little bit. But then I want to go ahead and place a little bit of a space, so that way later on we can go over some things. And then everything else, like the O2 generator, we'll put right here. Yeah, I think that should be good. So what I need to do now is I need to go ahead and get all that welded up. Alright, so as you can see, we now got a refinery, an assembler, and an O2 generator. What we can do right now is, since they are not connected, we would have to switch everything over by hand. So if I take some uranium, if I have any uranium ore left, I think I do. I hear the refinery. Yes, we do. We have the uranium. Now, the only thing we need for uranium for is missiles. So let's go ahead and put the uranium into the refinery. Now what will happen is it'll start getting loaded up with ingots. Once it's completely full of ingots and ore, it will stop. The refinery will stop producing because it doesn't have the room. So what we need to do is we need to pass it over to the assembler. Right now the only way we have to do that is to put it into our personal inventory and then pass it over to the assembler. But the option that we do have is to go ahead and add a conveyor and weld it up. Hopefully I can have all the resources I'm going to need to do that. Yep, there we go. Now what I could do is, if we go into the inventory, I could go on this side, I could go refinery, and on this side we could go assembler, and I could go ahead and just pass, nope, that's the wrong one, it's this one, and just pass everything over that way. So that way I don't have to worry about personal inventory, grabbing a certain amount at a time and then trying to get into the assembler. I could just pass everything at once. But there's even a better way of doing that, which I won't be able to do because I don't have it set up correctly. What I have to do is I have to go ahead and move the assembler over one. So let me do that real quick. Alright, so what I want to do real quick is I want to go ahead and move the assembler to here. Make sure the access point is connected. Then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and build... Oh, I need metal grids. I had to pass some stuff over because I had full inventory. There we go. Build up the assembler. And then what I'm going to need is I'm going to need a storage somehow. So we'll go ahead and grab a small cargo container. Now what this will do is it will allow the refinery to fill this cargo container instead of filling the assembler. And I need displays. We could also get rid of this conveyor right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and, oh yeah, I do already have it in control too. We're going to put a sorter right here. So that way anything that could be pulled from the refinery can be pulled into that cargo container automatically, filling up the inventory space so that way it won't overload and it won't stop working. That's very important that you make sure that your stuff doesn't stop because it's full, because then you'll not be producing anything and you'll wonder why. So what we need to do is I need to go ahead and get some power. Then we need to get that stuff welded up, and then we'll go over how to do all that. Alright, so now that we got those welded up, what we need to do is we need to go ahead and pass the resources from the refinery to go into the assembler. The only resources we need is the ingots because the ore needs to stay in the refinery to process. So what we'll do is we'll come up to the sorter. We'll go ahead and set this up and tell it what to pull. So what we'll do is we'll go to whitelist. This says this is what I want to pull. If we go to the blacklist, it'll say pull everything but this. So we'll go ahead and go to whitelist. What we want to do is we want to go ahead and pull the ingots out of the refinery into the cargo container. So as you can see, now that we've added it, we have the ingots. So let's go ahead and grab all the ingots out of... Okay, they're not in there. How about in here? Oh, I think I have them in my inventory. Yes, I do. So we'll go ahead and put those ingots into the refinery and watch them pull. There you go. Oh yeah, one thing I forgot to do is we need to tell the sorter to drain all on. There we go. And now as you can see, all the ingots were drained away. They should be now in the cargo container. And there it is. So that's the easiest and fastest way to go ahead and pull everything out of the refinery so it doesn't get overloaded and it won't stop working. But at some point we'll come to that point where this cargo container will fill up and so will the assembler. So that's when we are actually producing components. So what we need to do next is we need another cargo container with a sorter that will pull all the components. Everything that we build in the assembler will be pulled to another cargo container. And that's where the O2 generator will come in as well, because that's where the ice will go for the O2 generator. But there is a station that we can build that I do have on the Steam Workshop. If I go F10, there is a starter base which I started right at the beginning of the series. If I can find it, there it is, the starter base. This facility is actually really good for a starter base once you get refineries and assemblers. It's set up so that way everything will pull to one container. All you have to do is fill it up with the resources, and that's it. You just have to fill up with ore and it will produce on its own. Well, you have to fill it with ore, and you also have to tell the assembler what to build. But there is a mod, it's actually a script that we can use. But what I want to do right now is go ahead and get that facility done, so that way I can show you how that works. So that way you can kind of get an idea of what you could do in your own world. Alright, so first things first. First thing I need to do is go ahead and make sure that we have the thing orientated correctly. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go into creative to build this so that way you guys can see. It's a little bit easier, a little bit faster, so you can see how this is built, and it'll give you ideas for your own station. So if we hit, I think it's Alt F10. Yep. Right up here in enable creative mode, we'll go ahead and check that. There's also one here for invulnerability. That one's kind of new. But I will build this on my own. I already have the resources and everything. I just want to build it so that way I can show you guys how to do it. So first things first, we need a starting spot. What we'll do is we'll start with a conveyor junction. And this is where everything will go through the sorting system. So after that, the next thing we're going to need is we are going to need a refinery. Do I already have one selected? Yes, I do. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and rotate it so that way, come on, over like that. So that way we have the access point right here on the far right hand side. So that way I could put a sorter right here. And then an elbow or a cargo container so that way I could hold some resources while it's waiting to go through the refinery. Then what I want is the access point right here on the side, which gives me room to put conveyors to pull more towards the ingot cargo container. So if we go ahead and place that refinery just like that, that's how I want it orientated. Next thing we're going to need is we are going to need a cargo container. And what this is it will just hold everything that's waiting to be processed in the refinery, just to make sure that we don't overload the refinery. This is kind of like an overfill. So next thing we're going to need is a sorter. And we need to make sure it goes from the conveyor junction to the cargo container. Also, next thing we're going to need is we'll go ahead and grab a connector right now. Of course, we don't have a ship to connect up to, but this will give you an idea of what the station looks like. So the connector will be right up here, so that way we can connect ships to it. So what's going to happen right now is any ore that we connect to... Oh, it looks like I have platinum over there. I didn't even look to see what resources I had. Wow, okay. So any ship that connects to this connector, the ore will go from that sorted to that cargo container, which will fill the refinery. Also, what I want this sorter to do is I want it to pull ingots as well. But those will be pulled off later. So we'll set it to pull ingots and ore, and then drain all on. Now what this will do is it will prevent anything else from going back the other way. So now that we have ingots and ore going to that cargo container going to the refinery, what we need to do now is make this platform a little bit bigger. First of all, there we go. Is now that we have the refinery doing its thing, what we need to do is we need to pull the ingots out of the refinery to a cargo container, so that way we're not overloading it with ingots. The way we're going to do that is put a cargo container here in the corner, grab ourselves a sorter. So now the ingots, once we get the conveyors done, let's go ahead and do that real quick. So we'll get an elbow from that access point and just bring it to the sorter. So all we want this sorter to do is to pull ingots. So whitelist, ingots, add, there we go. And we'll set it to drain all. So now it will automatically pull things out of the refinery. So now that we have the ingots in this cargo container, we need to hook up an assembler, which we want to make sure the access points don't connect to the refinery, or stuff will get backlogged and get all confused. So we'll make sure that the access point goes towards the cargo container and not the refinery. Alright, so the assembler now has access to the ingots, so it can build whatever it wants. But what we need to do is we need to pull the resources out of the assembler into a cargo container. So what we'll do is we'll go another sorter, and then we'll go ahead and build a cargo container right here. Not only that, but this cargo container will have ice as well. But what we need to do is we need to set the sorter to pull everything that will be built by the assembler. So we'll go to whitelist. So we have ammo, components, and hand tools. We'll add all the bottles and ice. We'll go ahead and add. So hydrogen bottle and ice. And then if we go down to oxygen bottle. Now there are some new things in the game that are not considered ammo, components, or hand tools. Let's see if we can actually find those. Oh yeah, the Clang Cola. And I think there's also power. Let's go to down to power. Maybe I'll find it easier that way. Yep. No, that's not it. Power kits and stuff like that. So that's not considered a tool or a weapon, so we would have to actually add that if we were making those. But I'm not too worried about it. We'll go ahead and stick with ammo, components, hand tools, bottles, and ice. And then we'll go ahead and do drain all on. Make sure that when you're doing this, drain all you do last, or it will start pulling things that you don't want into that cargo container. Then next thing we'll do is we'll put a connector on top of that cargo container. And what that's for is so that way we can dock up a ship to load it with components. So once we get a construction ship, that's what that'll be for. So we're not done yet. We do have the ability from this connector to pull ingots and ore into the refinery. What we don't have is we don't have a way of pulling components. So say you have yourself a deconstruction ship that has a grinder on the front of it. You capture yourself a... Do I have one? I don't see any. Say there was a cargo ship that popped in, you decided to capture it and grind it down for the resources. We're going to connect that ship up to this connector so that it can go through the sorting system. But since all we have connected to it is ingots and ore, what we need to do is make another sorter going this way that will just do the components. So we'll go ahead and add the sorter, and we'll set the sorter the same way we set the other sorter for components. So whitelist, we'll do the oxygen bottle, we'll go up to hydrogen and ice, hydrogen bottle and ice, and then ammo, components, and hand tools. And there we go. Then make sure that drain all, oh, I did whitelist, there we go. Drain all on. So now, once I go ahead and connect this up to that conveyor, we have a way of passing ore and ingots into that cargo container that way. And then all the components, hand tools, and weapons into that cargo container this way. So that's pretty much the system. Now what we need to do is we need to figure out an O2 generator. We need to figure out a medical room, which is actually pretty easy. What we do is grab ourselves an O2 generator. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get rid of... Let's get rid of that block, that block, that block, and that block. But I also need to connect up a medical room. So what I'm going to do is get a conveyor junction, put it underneath the cargo container. There we go. And then what I could do is grab the O2 generator. Oh, I just got rid of the conveyor. Let's go ahead and put that back. Grab that O2 generator and put it right here where the conveyor junction is. Another thing we want to keep in mind, is that the O2 generator? No, it's not. It's this one. Another thing we want to keep in mind is just in case we need to access it for any reason, just as a backup, we want to make sure that the access point is in the back, so that way we can go ahead and get to it. Now what we need to do is set up a spot for a medical room, so we'll grab another conveyor junction, and if we go control 1 G and go med, as you can see when we look at it, the access points on the medical room are on the top and the bottom. So if we just place it right here on this conveyor junction, everything should be connected up. So we should be getting not only health and power, but also oxygen and hydrogen. If I had ice in the O2 generator. Let's actually do that real quick so I can show that. Now, all of this I'll go ahead and get rid of since we did do it in creative, and I'll go ahead and do it in survival. I just wanted to be able to show you guys real quick. So now I should be able to fill up on oxygen and hydrogen. There we go. So everything is connected, everything is ready to go. Let's go ahead and place these right here so it looks a little bit better. There we go. So yeah, that's pretty much all you have to do. Then we have to think about power. Now, this thing doesn't take a whole lot of power, so setting up solar panels will be okay. But at some point, if we do decide to add, I don't know, nanite factories or whatever to this thing, it is going to need a lot of power. Now, this cargo container right here is where we're pulling all the ingots. Reactor components are, or the reactor uranium ingots, my bad, are considered an ingot, so all we need to do is connect up a reactor to that cargo container right there. Now with the nanite factory, we actually need a lot, so we'll just go ahead and connect just like we did with the respawn ship and get ourselves 3 reactors. Now of course I could use solar on this, which I'll probably end up doing, so just grabbing some batteries and some solar panels. But now that we have that done, what we could do is we can go ahead and extend the platform. And this is where we can build our ships. We'll go ahead and put a rotor right here because that's the way I like to do it. So yeah, we'll go with regular rotor. Put it down right there, make sure it's rotated the right way. Get rid of the head. And just add a small head. It looks like I will have to dig a little bit down. But that's alright. So this is the station. This is a starter station that works pretty good. It will keep the entire station from overfilling until you run out of space in the component cargo container. But you do have room out here since you have the conveyor junction to add more cargo containers if you want to. But anyways, so what I need to do is I need to go ahead and get rid of all this. I need to get it done in survival. So let's go ahead and race. Here we go. And we'll just start out with the steel foundation and get rid of those as well. All right, so back into creative or back into survival. There we go. All right, so now all I need to do is I need to go ahead and get that built before next episode. I'll go ahead and also set up some solar panels. I already know how many solar panels I'm going to need. I'm going to need 32 solar panels and about 2 or 3 batteries. So I'll go ahead and get those set up in between episodes as well. And next episode, what we need to do is pretty much just figure out where we're going to go from here. But until then, make sure to like and subscribe, all that good stuff. I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.